What are you waiting for?
Come join the Geek Drums Nation.
What is up, guys? I hope everyone is doing well today. Welcome to today's video. And in today's video, we will be talking about Superman and Lois Season 4, Episode 4. Now, was this the weakest episode of the season so far? Yes. But let me say, this episode had more redeeming qualities than your typical CW Arrowverse fillery-esque type episode would. And I wouldn't even fully call this episode a filler episode. Why, you may ask?
Well, let's just have a conversation about that, I guess. Before we do that, if you are new here, please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to join the channel as well. Become a channel member today. We have Party Nation, the best podcast on YouTube. We have that every single Tuesday at 5:30 Central Standard Time. So, check it out. You may have some fun. We talk about all of this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff on right now. Anywho, now this episode, we had to deal with Kyle and Chrissy's, upcoming nuptials. They were getting married. As we know, he proposed to her in the finale last season, and they're getting married. This episode did not feature Lex Luthor, did not feature Lana, did not feature John or Nat, even though John was mentioned. But what this episode did feature, which I was so happy about, because a lot of these shows mishandle fillery episodes when you have to give time to other cast members who are no longer regulars. We know this show went from 13 series regulars to just 5, so they had to find a way to balance it out, and I think they have done well so far. But Kyle and Chrissy have never been my favorite characters. They have never been favorite characters of anybody. I don't really care for them. I think their relationship is cute, but just me personally, I don't really care for them. I wanted to focus on the story at hand since we only had 10 episodes this season and we're already on episode 4, so we're halfway through that. But what I will say is they handled this with grace. Todd Helbing learned from the mistakes that he made on The Flash, even though maybe he could have talked to Eric Wallace and talked to him about some of those later seasons. But that's neither here nor there. They handled this with grace. We start this episode off. It picks up it picks up from where the last episode left off. Right after the funeral, the boys are in the house, looking sad. Lois is still outside, just, staring at her father's grave. And who comes flying in? Clark is back. Clark is back. Is he back to full strength? No, he has that 60-year-old ticker in his chest. Even though it was infused with his blood, he is having side effects. We get his little monologue. That's the one detriment to having a shortened season. They have to rush things. That's the one thing I did not like. The one thing I did not like about this episode. I wanted to see his reaction to finding out that John finally unlocked his powers. I feel like they just glazed right over that, even though we did get the training montage, and the training montage was great. I mean, his reaction to John knowing what the Kessel, I think that's what it was called. I'm blanking on that, but to him knowing what it was called, because of course John is the athletic one, so of course he would know what it's called. Also, he's taking to his powers, better than Jordan did, because he's in a better mental state. And he's more athletic, and I'm loving that. I'm loving that they're focusing in on the differences between the two brothers. This episode, speaking of the brothers, this episode, Jordan was still a little salty, but Clark comes back. He kind of handles that. He just tells Lois, just talk to him. You gotta give him time. Just talk to him. He'll come around. And they do. They talk. They do come around. We see the passing of the Superboy-esque mantle from Jordan to Jonathan, which I don't think will last for long, because he's just doing it for right now. We all know they're doing it for budget reasons. We know that's another detriment that I feel would happen on network television. They can't have all three of them flying around at the same time, I guess. But it's neither here nor there. Maybe we'll get that scene later on in the season, around towards the finale. We're gonna get that. They have to have episodes to save money. This was a episode to save money. I mean, that's just my opinion. Maybe you agree with me. Let me know down below in the comment section. But this felt like an episode to save money. But yes, they're doing their training montage, and I love seeing that. Clark tries to fly, a little bit faster than John. He bumped John. Then all of a sudden, we hear his heart skip a beat. Now, I personally think that he has to still get used to it, and he's pushing himself too hard. I mean, when they tell Lois, his facial expressions through that whole thing, he was just trying to brush it off, but John was like, it seemed more serious than that. And it really was. It's a scary moment, and Clark needs to realize, I think he does realize that, but he's just trying to, get a sense of levity to the whole situation because he just came back. We find out that he was dead for 3 weeks. He was out of commission for 3 weeks. It did not feel like that because we're watching it in real time, but it felt like he was dead. Well, to them, he was dead for 3 weeks, and then they just lost Sam. They don't want to lose him all over again, and Lois does not want him to rush back out there and reveal that he is back. But as we find out later on in the episode, he does not have a choice. Now, on the Cal and Chrissy tip, Chrissy's getting cold feet only because her mother shows up, and her mother is like the evil mother-in-law, questions Kyle's motives for marrying her. And I feel like they did need this episode, but this episode could have been any other story because they did not end up getting married. They just ended up just having the party and, postponing the wedding till they're both in a better place, till they're ready, basically. But Kyle and Clark had some wonderful scenes together. Like that was some of the best writing. I like seeing the bromance scenes. I like seeing that, especially since Kyle was such a jerk to Clark before he found out who he was. He was such a jerk to him in the earlier season. So it's good to see this side of them, even with he was questioning Clark with the whole electric grills thing. And it was nice of Clark and Lois to offer the farm to Kyle and Chrissy for their wedding. That was nice to see. They're good hometown folk. That's Clark and Lois. They're the cream of the crop. You can never complain about that. But Clark ends up having to reveal that he is back at Superman. It is a new fire-wielding meta. My friend called him Heatwave from Timo. So, but yeah, he shows up. They send John out. Before we get to that, Jordan overhears Gretchen. Gretchen is out and about. She overhears him. He's in Metropolis. He tells John that he needs to take mom and go. He does want to take a back seat and figure out his own stuff. So John and Lois go. They talk to her. They try to convince her to, turn herself in, because if she does not, help Lois, Lex is going to kill her. But she figures Lex is going to kill her regardless. So she still hesitates. We do find out that Gretchen's real name is Cheryl Kimball. I know it was a lot of people that was thinking that she was going to be Mercy Graves, but I couldn't see that. Her name is Cheryl Kimball. That's who she is. Now, further along in the episode, we do find out that she is in the fire that Jordan sent John to handle. Now, he just puts the hoodie on, tells John he's ready. Being that encouraging brother. I mean, I guess he kind of has to be, because early in the episode, he was being a dick. He was being a jerk. He was being a crybaby. But we all know that Jordan suffers from that anxiety disorder and feeling not loved. And that's his whole issue with Lois, listening to that phone call over and over again and trying to play it off like he wasn't, even though, John has super hearing as well now. So, they handle that as well. But he wishes Jordan would just come along and just handle things. But Jordan has to handle things in his own time. That way he could be in a better headspace. That way when the time does come, he can be an asset to his brother and his father and his mother, and they can be the whole super family that they want to be. And, for me, that's quite all right. I do not like the angle that they're going for, but I understand why they have to, and I think the writing on that end is good. I did not expect it, but at least they're not sidelining Jordan like they would do Wally on The Flash, or like they would do Roy on Arrow, or one of the Pierce girls on Black Lightning. At least they're not doing it like that, and I respect them for that. They're handling it with grace, and they're going with what they can do, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day, right? We do see that Clark shows up and handles that. John was in over his head. I like how John just walked through the fire and everything, but when he saw it was on fire, he just put it out. But he sees that it's Gretchen. He says Hugh, but then the meta shows up again. Lex sent the meta to kill her. Lex sent him to kill her. So yeah, Lois tried to warn her, but John gets in over his head. Jordan runs up to his dad like, you don't hear that. We know that Clark is having problems. He says he can't hear out of one ear right now. His body aches. He's out of breath, and the wine is affecting him. Like, just side effects from being dead for 3 weeks. His body has to get used to it. But It doesn't stop him from walking through that fire, walking up to that meta and using his body to just break the fire gauntlets. That was so cool. That was really cool to see. And he says, not bad for a dead guy. So we go back to the farm. We do see that, Sophie's there. Sophie actually showed up and she's tall as crap. Kyle, Chrissy, and Chrissy's mom, they make up. Everything's all good on that end, which is good to see. I hate seeing like the evil mom type thing. I don't really care for that. But, have a big dance party. Episode's over. We end the episode on a good note with Lex. And, Lex, not Lex. Who am I talking about? Jesus. What? What the fuck? We end the episode with Clark and Lois having a romantic moment. And she says, I just want to have you all to myself before you're revealed to the world. And then what happens? They start getting their sexy time, getting it all together. And ding, 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 ding. Notifications are going off from several publications declaring Superman lives. And that's where the episode ends. And that's where we're going into the next episode, which I am sure is going to be fire. Like I said, this was the weakest episode by far because of the wedding stuff. I could care less, but they balanced it out. And, they came out on top with the actual flowing of the story, which is Superman's return and handling John's powers and all of that stuff. So, yeah, all in all, wasn't terrible, but it wasn't a great episode. But that's just my opinion. You can let me know down below in the comment section what you thought, and let's have a discussion about it. Like I said, guys, like, share, subscribe. Feel free to join my channel, and I'll catch you all next time. Also, this isn't my regular equipment, so don't judge me.